Hello everyone, welcome to the Besiege bots building tutorials. Please take a look at the previous videos on this series if you haven't, because it can be a bit confusing if you don't. In this video, I will be showing you how to build hammers. So hammers are actually pretty similar to how you would build a spinner. You would have something that you attach grabbers to, or the hammer, and you would have a motor, which is usually torqueless, on it. So hammers can have one extra stack per type. So if you're using motor wheels, you can have 4. If you're using cogs, you can have 3 instead of the usual 2 or 3 that you are allowed on spinners. So today I will be making a cog hammer for you because it is slightly simpler to make than a wheel hammer. With a wheel hammer, you'll need to do some fancy mounts that I will show you in another video. So with this, you will have a hammer motor, and you would have something spinning on the outside of it. This is actually really similar on how you would build a vertical spinner. It's just that you have something behind it to stop it, because the hammer needs something behind it to stop the actual hammer motion from going full on 360 degrees. So the first thing you want to do is make your you choose the motor and then put some spin blocks on it. Make the spin blocks invincible, and then think of what material you want your hammer to be. Well, easiest one of course is grabbers, but you can also use spin blocks. Spin blocks here are a bit harder though, since again they spin and you don't want your hammer head to spin. So one thing to note on making hammers, you also can do a mix between grabbers and another block, because the first object that it attaches to doesn't need a grabbing point. You can just make it a normal block. So you can make this bit right here a wooden panel instead of a grabber, or a cannon. This gives a stiffer hammer arm, which would help in quite a few cases, since the stiffer your hammer arm is, the more acceleration you can put, because you don't have the full spin up speeds of or the spin up or the time to fully spin up when you're making a hammer. So it means your hammer arm is overall slightly stiffer, which is also good for actually carrying out the impact. So just extend it as much as possible, and now you have a hammer arm. For a hammerhead, you can make interesting shapes. You can make an axes and pickaxes, but for now I'll just be making like a basic scythe kind of shape. So just be creative here. Just a simple scythe-esque shape, you know. And let's pin these two. You would mount logs here, and then make a chassis around it, but I'll just be showing you the mechanism. Next up, you want to actually put braces on these motors. I'll be using 4 per side. These braces are quite important, so don't really skip out on them, since hammers usually are heavier on one side than the other, which means they need more braces to accelerate faster. Next up, I'll be wiring these up, so let's do ZNX, 200 speed. Don't toggle your hammer. Now you have a hammer. So here I have a like scythe shape, and you see it just hammers down on your opponents. One thing to note about hammers is if I unpin this, it's quite bouncy and it flies high up. That's mostly because it is quite an unbalanced hammer. And if you want to reduce the amount of bounciness, you can just add some water cannons down there to counteract the weight. As you can see, it is slightly less bouncy. If I just put some spikes on the bottom there, you can probably see it a bit better. That it bounces slightly less compared to not having water cannons at all. Yeah, you can see in the motion where this at the end of the motion could do a full 360, while with the water cannons it was still able to hit on the ground, so it doesn't lift up as much. Another thing to note about hammer chassis is that you really need a strong center point, since that's going to be what your hammer is hitting all the time if you retract your weapon. You can also just remove the reverse option on some of these, so you only retract with one motor. Please do maybe add a option for a full retract, because that might be nice in some situations. So you have the slow retract, so you have the fast retract. That's all about hammers. They're not really that hard to make, but they are really hard to make good. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more, please watch the other videos, and see you next time.